Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Valor. We're very excited to be here today talking about the Evil Dead Trilogy, which is something fun that we wanted to talk about for a little while now. We have not yet had a chance. So now that we've gone down the rabbit hole of making a horror film and watching a lot of horror movies, I want to start off with Adam. What is it about The Evil Dead to start off with that makes it such a special film?
I would leave now to avoid this horror, but for myself, I have seen the dark shadows moving in the woods, and I have no doubt that whatever I have resurrected through this book is sure to come calling for me.
For me personally, it was something that as a kid, going to Blockbuster, there was only like a few movies that I would watch, and Evil Dead was not one of them. I would always see, the VHS box and just see that skull, or the woman with her, hand being raised up and all. I was like, I don't get it. I'm like, it doesn't seem too interesting, but, so I always passed it off. All the kids who liked metal, they were all wearing Evil Dead shirts, and, I'll Swallow Your Soul and Klaatu Verada, and all that stuff. So I figured, hey, this is something that people are into. And I watched it, and it was mind-blowing. It was everything that I wanted to see in a horror movie that was not Halloween or anything else like that. It was just, it was something new. It was a new kind of subgenre of horror movies, and I really gravitated towards that. And it's just a really fun movie. I think Bruce Campbell is great.
Yeah.
I think that is something that is cool. You get a sense of a superhero in a horror movie.
Yeah, amazingly so, right? It's interesting watching all the other stories, and it brings it into also why I like it so much and enjoy it, and I think I was surprised by it, is there's really not much like the movie, the first one. And when you're watching all these different horror movies and you realize that there's really nothing that predates it that is quite as fun, that is as wild as what they did. Mm-hmm. And there's something also, I know we notice when we're making movies, there's something about like not having the money or the resources that makes you be more creative sometimes, and also the movie itself seems to have a greater energy than most things that are made. And I feel like even movies like The Conjuring and other movies are always trying to get to that point where they have that much energy and that much excitement with the cameras flipping everywhere and stuff like that. There's something so alive about it that you really fall in love with it, and you're like, wow, this is definitely a different kind of horror experience, right? Yeah.
And also you could tell by just the budget of it.
Yeah.
I think it just adds a little bit more fun when you know that, it's not $1 million budget.
Yes.
And you kind of think like, wow, these are just a couple of kids.
It's like
really good
like
friends.
We can do that mentality.
Yeah, it is that, and that's what
cool.
makes it, that much more fun. But it's also, a couple of good friends making a movie the way they want it to.
It's got that energy to it. So definitely The Evil Dead is a great place to start, especially for horror low-budget fans. The Evil Dead, very important movie. Let's move to the next one, which is just as fascinating, but for a different way. What is it about Evil Dead 2 that makes it so exciting, dynamic, etc.?
Gotcha, didn't I, you little sucker?
Oh, I think it's that they kind of remade it, but
how
they made
about upping the ante?
Yeah,
they
upped the ante. There's more funny moments in it.
Yeah.
You really get a sense of Ash's character.
Yes.
Who's totally a different person. But you can kind of think like, wow, different. If I went through that the first time,
you can understand why you'd be that way.
You'd be like, at this point you have to have some levity to it because it's the only way to stay sane. Right. And obviously, if you've seen it in Evil 2, he goes to the ringer.
I was also telling Adam too, the reason why I like it so much. Well, first of all, is the fact that they were told when they first made the movie, like, what the hell did you guys do? You made a comedy. And Sam Raimi was stunned by that. But I think he really rolled with the punches then and said, you know what, let's do Evil Dead 2 as a comedy. Let's make it like a Three Stooges type of mentality. And there's no doubt, the reason why I really gravitate towards the really Evil Dead 2 is because of the fact that everything seems to be based on a scare. It's like a new problem. There's always new problems. Let's just say you have a character who's moving through space and time. Everything that happens to him, everything that goes wrong is the plot You know what I mean? That's what makes it so great. Oh, he goes over here, and then suddenly the you know the animals are talking on the walls. He goes over here, then he's jumping after himself through the mirror. All those things. So they become obstacles that he has to overcome, which makes the storytelling really exciting. And it doesn't meander in some cases like the way the first one does, or even like a lot of horror movies do, I should say. It goes from plot point to plot point, and the solutions to his problems wind up becoming how he advances the story. You know, how cool is that? And very simple, too. Very, very simple.
Yeah.
Right? So Evil Dead 2, solid recommend. Anything else you want to say about it?
Oh no, and also all the one-liners you hear.
Oh yeah.
I mean, pretty much Evil Dead 2. I mean,
it's so true.
It's great. It's a lot in this. It's nostalgia watching it.
And arguably it is the best one. It's like the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. Am I correct in saying that?
I agree.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Last but definitely not least, almost in a similar way, like Return of the Jedi being a very different kind of movie with the same sort of feelings. Army of Darkness is a classic, but it's a very different kind of film. Let's talk about that.
Strange one!
Army of Darkness is just that, you either like it or you don't like it. I like it a lot. I mean, I think I probably, in chronological order, I probably saw 2 first, then Army of Darkness.
Oh,
then
really?
I went back to the original.
Oh, that's interesting.
But this was like back in high school. But
that's
Army
cool.
of Darkness it's a totally different movie. I mean, you still have that classic, Ash character, just running about, saying really cheesy lines, but it's like more of that. And for even a person like him to be thrown back into like medieval times, it's like,
oh, it's so hysterical.
You think he was some kind of like, warlock or witch or something,
Yeah.
something like, you're going to hell.
How funny is it? It is definitely true. The core of the movie is like, okay, what would happen if you put this amazing character back in time? What is he going to do? Well, of course, he's just going to show off his shotgun and kill people and pretend that he's got super magical powers. All that is great. But then when you add it into this sort of the Camelot, Monty Python realm as well, is so fantastic. And when I was watching the movie the other day, I realized there's another element about it that's really funny that nobody really talks about or touches on. Ash seems so pissed the entire movie.
Yeah.
Anything anyone says, but how true is that not of Indiana Jones, of a lot of the traditional swashbuckler movies? It seems like the guy's just like gonna punch everyone in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In such a funny way.
Yeah.
So people try to provide him special equipment. They provide him help. They provide him things, and he's just like, "Get the hell out of here! I'm doing my own thing." But it's taken to such an extreme that it's very funny. And I think that's almost embodied completely in the sequence where he finally goes and gets to the place he's going, and he has to read the secret words.
And I think Raimi had a lot of fun doing that.
Oh yeah, I mean it was probably hysterical.
How many characters did his brother play, and didn't he also do the voice of Evil Ash when he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think he
great.
also did
if you look close enough too, when those little characters are attacking him, you can totally see that one to the left is not Bruce Campbell. But that's what's so good about it. They were so traditionally done.
Yeah.
And the same approaches that all those movies that they were inspired by were done. It's like I'd like to think that we try to make movies, and our generation tries to make movies like the way Sam Raimi made movies. So it's like you're keeping that tradition alive.
Yes. Also, I think what it did was it brought us into the whole Necronomicon, Deadeye world a little bit more. I think visually it did. Because,
really cool.
Instead of Evil Dead 2, where you get the portal,
yes.
You get the I'll swallow your soul, I'll swallow your
yes.
soul. There's you get some Deadites, you get some Necronomicon lore. The lore is probably the one thing that I go for in any type of horror movie,
100%.
sci-fi, and I think Army of Darkness really caught the most of it.
There's no doubt it has that. It has the mythology. It has everything in it that makes you just get a little bit more. It's like not too much. You know what I mean? I think there's some elements of the Showtime series that I didn't like personally because I feel like there's a pureness to the series itself. You know what I mean? It doesn't go too. It's like this is the comical version of medieval times of this thing. Yeah. This is Ash back in the cabin again. That's enough for me. You know what I mean? I feel like once you get too outside that realm or even back into real life, the thing kind of breaks apart. You know? So they just kind of perfectly have him in the right situations to make it work.
Yeah.
Right? So, The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. Solid recommendations for anybody looking for fun horror movies, especially during this time period where you might just be looking for cool things to watch. So, we hope you guys enjoyed Film Valor today, and we hope you go out and watch the Evil Dead Trilogy.
Take care. Stay safe.